So, hi everyone, have a nice day. This video is about my compilation of activities here in chapter 11 that is entitled as Build a Small Network. So, watch this. So, let's start, and first we will launch course. So, while we're waiting, we will find the chapter 11 that is entitled as the Build a Small Network. So, now we will find it. So, this is the last chapter for this CCNA 1. So, we will find the first activity here in chapter 11. So, the first activity was here on first activity was here on page 11.2.1.4, and this activity has a title of Security Threats and Vulnerabilities. Activity Part 1, Security Threats and Vulnerabilities. So instruction is read the security threats and vulnerability scenarios. Drag each scenario to its corresponding type of security threat. So the security threats are the information theft, identity theft, data loss and manipulation, and the disruption of service. So when we say information theft, this is a threat that can obtain the confidential information. When we say identity theft, this is a threat that where a personal information was stolen for the purpose of taking over someone's identity. When we say data loss or manipulation, this is a threat that destroy or alter data records. And when we say disruption of service, this is a threat that preventing legitimate users from accessing services to which they should be entitled. So, let's answer this. The information theft. First is the sending a virus to reformat a hard drive. So this is for the data loss and manipulation, because it is about the alter or destroy data records. Next, altering data records, and this is for data loss and manipulation. Preventing legal users from accessing data services, so this is for the disruption of service. Next, stealing scientific research reports, so this is for the information theft. Next, stealing a company's user database, and it is also for the information theft. Next, overloading a network to keep users out, so this is for the disruption of service. Next is the making illegal online purchases for identity theft. And lastly, impersonating someone to obtain credit, it is also for the identity theft. So let's check it. So all correct. So now we will proceed on the part 2 of this activity. So the part 2 of this activity is security threats and vulnerabilities. So read the security management practices, drag each management practice to the appropriate security management type. So these are the hardware, environmental, electrical, and maintenance. So when we say hardware threats, it is a physical damage to servers, routers, or switches. But when we say environmental threats, it is about the temperature or humidity extremes. Next is the electrical threats. It is about the voltage spikes or the insufficient supply. And next is the maintenance, where it is a poor handling of key electrical components. So let's start answering this. Label critical cables and components. So it is for the maintenance. Next is control temperature and humidity. It is for the environmental threats. Next, control access to console ports. It is for the maintenance also. Use security cameras. It is for the hardware. Create positive airflow. So this is for the environmental. Next, install a redundant power supply. So it is for the electrical. Next is install UPS systems. So it is for the electrical also. And lastly is lock up devices, prevent unauthorized access is for the hardware. So let's check it. It's all correct, and now we will proceed on the next activity. And the next activity was located on page 11.2.2.5. It is entitled as the types of attack. Determine the types of security attacks described. Drag each security attack type to its scenario. So the attacks are the worms, access, virus, Trojan horse, reconnaissance, denial of service. So when we say worms, it is a take advantage of system features to travel through the network unaided. So next is when we say access, it is the unauthorized manipulation of data. When we say virus, this is a type of malware that insert a copy of itself and become a part of other program. Next is the Trojan horse. When we say Trojan horse, it is the harmful piece of software that looks like a legitimate. Next is the reconnaissance. So when we say reconnaissance attacks, this is the discovery and mapping of systems. Next is the denial of service or the DOS attacks. That is the correction of networks or the disabling. So now we will start answering these scenarios. First, a computer is used as a print server for the ACME Incorporation. The IT staff failed to apply security updates to this computer for over 60 days. Now, the print server is operating slowly and sending a high amount of malicious packets to its NIC. So it is the worm. We will drag worm here. Next is the Sharon, an IT intern at ACME Incorporation, noticed some strange packets while revising the security logs generated by the firewall. A handful of IP addresses on the internet were sending malformed packets to several different IP addresses at several different random port numbers inside the ACME Incorporation. So it is the reconnaissance, because reconnaissance is the discovery and mapping of systems. So we will check. It's all correct, and now we will proceed on the part 2 of this activity. Same instruction and same title. So now we will proceed on answering these scenarios. Jeremiah was browsing the internet from his personal computer when a random website offered a free program to clean his system. After downloading and running the executable, the operating system crashed. Crucial operating system related files had been corrupted and Jeremiah's computer required to full disk format and operating system reinstallation. So it is the virus. Because virus attacks when a program or a file become executed. Next is, Ariana found a flash drive laying on the pavement of a mall parking lot. She asked around but couldn't find the owner. She decided to keep it and plug it to her laptop, only to find a photo folder. Feeling curious, Ariana opened a few photos before formatting the flash drive for her own use. Afterwards, Ariana noticed that her laptop's camera was active. So it is the Trojan horse. Because Trojan horse is the harmful piece of software that looks like legitimate. So let's check it. It's all correct, and now we will proceed on the part 3 of this activity. Angela, an IT staff member at the ACME Incorporation, notices that communication with the company's web server is very slow. After investigating, she determines that the cause of the slow response is due to a computer on the internet sending a very large number of malformed web requests to the ACME's web server. So it is the denial of service attacks. Next, George needed to share a video with a co-worker because of the large size of the video file. He decided to run a simple FTP server on his workstation to serve the video file to his co-worker. To make things easier, George created an account with a simple password file and provided it to his co-worker on Friday. Without the proper security measures or a strong password, the IT staff wasn't surprised to learn on Monday that George's workstation had been compromised and was trying to upload work-related documents to the internet. So it is the access, because access is the unauthorized manipulation of data. So let's check it. It's all correct, and now we will proceed on the next activity. And the next activity was here on page. So where is the next activity? So the next activity was here on page 11.3.4.5, and this activity was entitled as the show commands. So the instruction is to read the show commands scenarios, drag each show command to the field next to the appropriate scenario. So now, first, the scenario is, you suspect there is a problem with the current switch configuration. You want to see the safe configuration so that you can compare it to what is currently running. So this is the show start of config. Because in show start of config, this is where the running config was saved. So now next is the, you are on a call with the Cisco technical assistance personnel. They ask you for the switch IOS name, RAM, and VRAM, and the flash available. They also ask for the hexadecimal boot location. So this is the show version. Next is, you are running the EIGRP routing protocol and need to know the update intervals and what active interfaces and networks are being advertised by your router. So it is the show IP route. Next, you cannot get to the internet. You need to find out if your router has a path to the internet and which protocols are being used to provide the paths. So this is the show IP protocols. Next, your network documentation really needs to be updated. A quick listing of the IP addresses of your routers in relation to their MAC addresses would help finish the task of for recording purposes. So this is the show ARP. Next and the last is a switch is the closest intermediate device to you. It has 24 ports. You want to see a simple list of the ports being used, their status, and VLAN IP addresses of the switch. So it is the show IP int brief or the show IP interface brief. So let's check it. It's all correct, and now we will proceed on the next activity. And the next activity was here on. So I think this is the last activity in this chapter. So this activity was entitled Order the Troubleshooting Steps. Drag each step to the field next to its appropriate description. So these are the steps and these are the descriptions. So the step 1 here. So first we will read each description. Establish a theory of probable causes. Next, establish a plan of action to resolve the problem and implement the solution. So the both of them is not the step 1 or either not a last step. So next is document findings, actions, and outcomes, and also it is not the step 1. So next is the identify the problem, test the theory to determine cause, verify full system functionality, and implement preventive measures. So in all of this description, the identify the problem is the first step we should know. So this is the step 1, identify the problem. Next is step 2 is the establish a theory for probable cause. So we'll assume where is the possible causes or of the identified problem. So next is the step 3 is the test the theory to determine cause. So when we assume, we will try or test it if it is the cause. So this is the step 3. And next is the step 4 is the establish a plan of action to resolve the problem and implement the solution. So after testing to determine the cause, we will establish a plan of action on how we will solve the problem. So this is the step 4. Next is the verify full system functionality and implement preventive measures. So this is the step 5. We will verify if we resolve the problem, and we will test if it will function. So the last is the document findings, actions, and outcomes. So we will list all the what is the problem, what is our solutions, and how we overcome in this problem. So let's check it. So it's all correct, and we will find if there's activity. So there's no other activity here, and now we will return to class. So that's all, guys, and thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you learn from this video. So I'm Kisha, Lyka, Villanueva of IT 2105.